They are moist and fluffy and big and delicious, and I'm really quite happy about these. Can you tell? We are going to make some gorgeous, gorgeous dough. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up my milk to lukewarm, blood temperature, whole milk, and we're just going to put it into the mouth of the dough. Keep an eye on that. We don't want it to be too hot, because if the milk is too hot, it will kill the yeast, okay? So it just needs to be lukewarm. Into our big old mixing bowl, we're going to go with strong bread flour. We're going to make a little well in the middle. Don't forget your milk. Just to test, I'm just going to put my knuckle in. Yep, blood warm, so you shouldn't really feel much, really. It's the same temperature as your blood. If it is too hot, just leave it to cool down slightly. Much prefer to take your time doing that than to kill off the yeast. On one side, I'm going to add sugar and salt. And on the other side, I'm going to add my dried instant yeast. Don't mix salt and the yeast together, because the salt will kill the yeast. Crack the egg into the little well that you created. Mixer goes down. So on a slow speed, get the egg mixing through, and then we're slowly going to pour in our milk. So once the dough starts to come together like this, you can turn the mixer up. We're then going to grate in our lemon. You can do this while it stands still, but why not just do it while it's going? A little bit of zest, unwaxed. The wax makes it go a bit weird, makes your mouth taste funny. And I just think a little bit of zest in the dough just adds kind of a little bit of a nice flavour, and lemon goes really, really beautifully with ginger, I think. That dough's coming together really nicely. You're going to turn it up again slightly. We're simply going to add butter, lump by precious lump. Unsalted and very, very soft, okay? Let's whack it up a little bit. So this is what you would call an enriched dough. It's enriched with butter and egg. Makes it really rich, enriched, rich, funnily enough. So you can see that dough really, really nicely coming together. You just want to knead the dough for a good 6-7 minutes until it's really, really elasticated. Oh, look at that lovely little stretch. Still not quite there though. And I'm just going to scrape the bowl down to make sure you've got all the bits and pieces in there it should be. So this is quite a wet dough. Don't worry about that. Don't be fearful of it. It's got a lot of hydration in there, but it makes for the softest buns. But what we're looking for is we want smoothness, but when, for instance, I'm lifting up like this, it's breaking, okay, quite early on. We want that stretch to really, really, really keep going. So we know that that gluten has really, really worked. So I'm going to put that on for a little bit longer. And so we've got a nice, smooth, stretchy dough. So while that's mixing, you can get yourself prepared a well-oiled bowl. A big bowl like this. Just a light, nondescript oil works perfectly. Nothing too strong in flavour. All the way around, because this dough is going to grow. And there we have a well-oiled bowl. That stretch is looking really nice now. Yeah. I'm just going to give that a minute more. Crank it right up. Woohoo! Normally I would say turn it out and have maybe the last minute just kneading it and feeling it, because it is a little bit wet. You don't need to do that. Let's get all of that off, because we want all of that. Using the dough scraper, make sure we're not leaving any behind. Get it into our bowl. Just look at that. It looks so delicious already. Just going to cling film the bowl that the dough is in, just a little bit. Make sure there are no gaps. If it's a smaller bowl and you're worried that the dough's going to reach the cling film, just put a little bit of oil on the cling film. But we've got no gaps in there, okay? Pop it in a warm place, double in size, hour, hour and a half, or overnight in the fridge. Just make sure you take it out to bring it to room temperature before you roll out. Next to a dome that's heating up beautifully is the perfect place to prove dough. Now we're going to make the filling for our buns. Easy peasy. Soft butter into that, soft brown sugar, ginger, cinnamon, bit of nutmeg, and we've got a little bit of ginger here, fresh ginger. I think it adds a really nice little bit of spice to it. If you do want to peel your ginger, you can use a teaspoon, just scrape it off that way. And then you just want to mix it. So this is where you want your butter to be soft, not melted, but soft, because we want to mix it all together. When my nan taught me to bake, everything was done without obviously electric mixers and stuff. So she'd teach me how to cream the butter and the sugar together, first of all, before adding the eggs and doing it all that way. Now we're a bit spoiled with all the electronics. So it's quite nice to go back to like an old-fashioned creaming method. And this is why obviously it's really important that the butter is soft, because if it's not, you're going to be here for ages and your arm's going to really, really ache. It smells like Christmas. And that's your filling. An apple, I see. I'll let you know in a minute. Our dough has now proofed. You can see that it is more than doubled in size. Very, very happy with that. So remove the cling film. Now, normally I would oil a surface. However, because it's a soft dough, you can use a little bit of flour and it helps absorb any moisture from the apple, which we're going to put in. So I'm just going to put some on my hand, like I'm doing like the shot put or something, but I'm not. I'm going to punch our dough down, knocking all that air out. It's taken so long to build up. It's one of my favourite bits. Flour your surface quite well, and you're just going to turn your dough out. Look at that. That is a really, really lovely dough. And I wouldn't worry about rolling it out. You don't need to roll it out. Just pull it and stretch it, give it a pat down. And you want about 10 inches by maybe 15 inches, nice and even. Loads of space for our filling before we roll it up into a sexy little swirl. So try and keep it in that rectangle shape if you can. You want your filling to be spreadable, so just dollop it on and spread out. Make sure you go to the edges, because if you're getting a roll that's got no filling in, you're going to be fuming. So you want to make sure that it's all evenly spread out. Because I'm just going to grate my apple. I don't bother peeling the apple because I don't really need to, and it's a little bit more fibre. You can use any apples you like. A Bramley apple will obviously be quite tart and sour, which is really, really nice. Or if you're feeling fancy, just look at this gorgeous pink apple. Be careful, the graters can get you. I have been got before, mainly because I don't pay attention and I'm holding grater in the air while doing it. Be safe, on a sturdy surface and grate away. Look at that, isn't that lovely? Sprinkle your apple over. You can mix this through, but I actually think it works better when I sprinkle the apple over rather than mixing it through the mix. You can also chop the apple really small. It's entirely up to you. I just found this quicker and easier. She says as it took her about 3 days to grate one apple. And now we roll. Taking the long edge, tuck it in and tuck it under. So you almost kind of roll in and pull in that first bit to make sure that filling is there. And then just roll all the way up. Get the seam underneath. Okay, so give it a little pat to make it nice and even. My prepared skillet pan, a big cast iron skillet pan with a circle of grease proof, and we're just going to load that up. We want to cut this into 10 equal pieces, straight down, fairly even. But we can use the smaller ones for the middle, okay? We want 7 around the outside, swirl side up, a little bit of space in between because these are going to grow. They smell really, really delicious. Last one just tucked in there. And then we're just going to tuck our little end bits in the middle. It's like tucking them into bed. So you want to put these in a warm place until doubled in size, or really, really squishy and light, and you're going to put them in a plastic bag while you do that. If you don't have a plastic bag, a shower cap works brilliantly, or some cling film, but I find a plastic bag works really well. Get some air in there as well. While the buns are proving for their second proof, I'm going to show you how to make a really quick crumble in the Gozney Dome. This is what I now call cowboy crumble. It is so simple, it's going to blow your mind. Enamel tray, something that is Gozney and fireproof. Don't go put it in a plastic tray, that'd be embarrassing. Flour, plain flour, demerara sugar, ginger. So you want your flour, your sugar and your spice in there mixed around, whatever you're using. And then blob in your butter. Now here is normally where you'd get your hands in and you'd give everything a really good rub together. No, 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 not today, not today. You're simply gonna coat the butter in the flour and you're gonna whack it into the mouth of the Gozney. Keep an eye, keep watch, the butter will melt. As the butter melts, take it out, give it a good mix round, put it back in. Keep an eye as it starts to colour and come together, take it out, mix it around. Now keep doing that until you have crumble. Magic. And we are very, very nearly there. Obviously, please be careful of your hands, but we just want this to dry out. We want it to be nice and crispy because we're going for texture on top of our buns. Oh yeah. We have got some lovely colour on that now. And just like that, we've got a little crumble. No rubbing the butter and the flour, no messing around. Straight in a pan, straight into the Gozney, mix it around. Excellent. So you can use this for anything. Obviously, topping an apple crumble, wow. But we're gonna use this to top our buns. Just a little bit of texture, a little bit something different. Set aside and leave to cool. As it cools, it will harden up. Our buns have proved for the second time. They are big, they are bouncy, they are delicious. Hopefully, they will be delicious. Ta-da! Look, they've expanded, and I know I kept going on about it being a wet dough, not to panic and not to worry, but I promise you it is so worth it because they are just so soft. You can see how much they've grown, how much they have proved there, and they are going to puff up even more while they're baking. And if you look as well, you've got a little bit of liquid down there that's come out of the apple, and all of that soaks up. To finish off, we want to give our buns a little bit of an egg wash because we want them to be golden and gorgeous. So give it a mix. And you just want to really, really gently, because our dough's worked really hard to be big and beautiful, so we don't want to deflate it. Just giving my buns a nice little caress with the egg wash. And then these will just go into the dome. We're going to raise these because the dome floor can get really, really hot. They're going to colour a little bit too much on the bottom. We don't want that. We don't want them to burn. We want that gorgeous, deep, dark brown on them. That's what we want for that bake, but we don't want to sort of cross over into burnt territory. So by just popping something on the bottom, it just makes sure they're not going to burn too much. They're not going to catch on the bottom because obviously we have got sugar in there. There is apple, which will caramelise, and we don't want that to too much. A little bit, but not too much. So elevate it, will stop that from happening. Our dome has gone down to embers. This is now going to go in on our little lifted platform. I'm going to put the door on and I'm going to let them do their thing. The smell that comes out of the dome when this happens is like magic. It is. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my little platform, and then my pan is just going to sit on top. Door goes on. And I'm going to have a look at those in about 20 minutes. Don't open them too soon, because otherwise they're going to puff up, and then if you open them too soon like you would an oven door, they're going to deflate, and we don't want that to happen. So about 20 minutes, and I'm going to give them a little spin around so they evenly colour. The buns have been in for about 30-35 minutes, and I reckon they are going to be perfect. So I'm just going to get them out now. Oh, hello. Just look at those. They are golden and risen and just, I mean, they're pretty much perfect in all honesty. I'm going to finish off my buns with some gorgeous, sticky maple syrup that's been infused with fresh ginger. Gives it a little bit of spice, a little bit of poke, and it just makes them sticky and even more delicious. So I'm just going to drizzle this all over. And we want it to get in those gaps. We want it to be sticky and delicious and shiny. I didn't think you could make these much better, but with this you can. And then just to finish off with our lovely crumble, adds a bit of texture and just completely and utterly just elevates them. I mean, you can never have too much crumble, really. I mean, I've waited long enough. I'm just going in. You can let them cool down a little bit more. But who needs fingertips? I mean, can we just check out my buns? Look at that. This will be the softest dough you will ever taste. And I promise you, it's so worth it. It's been a little bit naughty at times, but it is so worth it. All the best stuff is. I mean, look at that dough. And that middle bit's the best bit. That beautiful apple in the middle. Oh, they just smell incredible. I mean, I'd show that bun a good time. My mouth is actually watering and yeah, just, yeah, it's happening. It's like melting in the mouth. It's like little fluffy clouds. Christmas in bun form. Festive buns. Just really good buns, actually. Really, really good buns. Go to the website to find the recipe for my glorious buns, and also don't forget to subscribe to the Gozney YouTube channel. And you too could show a bun a good time. Have you ever bitten into a cloud? I just did. And you can.